Hi everybody, it's Ross from My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you don't miss any of the great videos we have coming out. Obviously, we have videos coming out daily, but sometimes 2-3 times a day. I won't want you to miss anything because every video is a cracker. Every memory, every story is being sort of recorded for prosperity. So don't miss nothing. Including today's guest. He's been asked, everyone messaged me, 3 people. We've had 2 of them, the 2 up front. And then the third one we've got today, we've got the hat-trick. I'm really happy. He's played 165 times for the club across sort of a 4-year period. It's Mark Ward. How you doing, Mark? How's things?
Yeah, great, boss. Yeah, good. I'm good.
You're busy man at the moment, I hear.
Yeah, I am busy. I'm working for a good company. We do all the renal dialysis units in the hospitals at the moment. So really busy, flat out, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. I know, and it's but football's back in sort of a weird way. You know, it's sort of a little bit of normality as much as it can be at the moment.
Yeah, it's frustrating for the players, the fans, and everything else. Who'd have thought we'd have had football behind closed doors? This COVID virus that's come, it's stopped everything really. I had a lot of events that I was involved in. Obviously, hopefully in the next few weeks, this social distancing will be a meter and we can start socialising once again. But we've all got to be careful.
Yeah, we've all got to be careful. I think football will be the last thing that goes back to normal, obviously.
Yeah.
60,000 people ploughing into London Stadium. It was weird yesterday when there was like 300 of us, to be honest. Very strange. But I've never been to a football game and I've had to fill in a health questionnaire and get my temperature checked. It's really strange.
Well, listen, if they get relegated, it might look like that next season.
Well, let's see. Yesterday was a weird one, so I'm looking forward. But knowing West Ham, will probably turn Tottenham over on Tuesday, won't we? Away.
Well, they've got to. They've got to get a result. It was a poor performance really, and I watched the game, and they've just got to kick on. And Brighton won, and you got the last game's Villa. We don't want to be going to that last game. It's a game I'd love to play in because I was always good under pressure, I thought, and some players that would be a monster of a game to play in because to play for your survival, that's not for the faint-hearted, and I don't think we've got much of that in the team at the moment.
Sure. Yeah. No, I understand. It makes perfect sense. I mean, I think it was fortunate that Bournemouth, had such a crap game as well, to be honest. So it's going to go down to the wire, but I think it's people look at who we've got coming through at the games. I mean, we know, so far only one home team's actually won their game so far in the Premier League, and I think that's a trend which has been replicated in the Bundesliga. So it's all weird, isn't it? No one really knows what's going on.
Well, let's hope Everton beat Liverpool tonight.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. At least, but I mean, as I said, it's one of those, because there's so many games coming in. You haven't got time to worry, to dwell on the last game because you've got a next game on Tuesday. So it's a bit like
it's in their hands. That's the thing. It's in the hands of the players, the management, and they've just all got to get, when they pull that claret and blue shirt on, they've got to die for the cause. It's all about survival.
Yeah, it's true. And obviously you did pull on the claret and blue for 165 odd times. Now, the question I ask all West Ham ex-players when they come on is why West Ham? Why join West Ham? What was the story, Mark? Because I know he's at Oldham. Why West Ham? What happened?
Well, it was just before the 85 season started, and I got a call off Joe Royle just to say, looking forward to my 3rd season at Oldham.
Yeah.
And Joe said, "You sat down, son?" And I went, "No, boss." He said, "Well, sit down because John Lyle will be at your house within the hour to pick you up." He said, "He's got to rush you down because you're signing for West Ham. The board have agreed a fee of $250,000 and you've been making your debut for West Ham." I wasn't asked whether I wanted to go or not. It was just, they bought me for £9,500. So, and I always remember the chairman didn't want to pay that much money for a player who was coming out of non-league.
Yeah.
But when I said to Joe I would be his best player, I think he thought, "What am I signing here?" Cocky little scouser, but he gave me the opportunity to get back into full-time football, and I never let him down because I never missed a game for him, and it was a really good financial sort of business for him, really, when you think about the amounts of money that was made. But I couldn't have gone to a better club really to enhance my career.
Yeah. exactly. And obviously John Lyle like turning up at your door. Fucking
Yeah,
hell. That's
it's
incredible.
it wouldn't happen now.
No.
But John was with Eddie Bailey, and straight
Yeah.
away, my ex-wife Jane was crying because he didn't want to leave Liverpool. He took control of the situation. First impressions, John Lyle, what a man. He just stopped her from crying. Told me to put the kettle on. I'd only just met him. Put the kettle on. I've given the kid £1 in the street to mind my car. You know, these things that he was coming out with, and the drive to London in the car that evening. It was special because I just spoke to the man and spoke to Eddie Bailey. They'd done the homework on me. They'd watched me 14 times. He was adamant that I was going to be a big success. And, you know, he was true with his words because, you know, what a season that we had.
Oh, what's it? I mean, you joined, like I said, joined during the summer, and then he was I'm right, he's never present in the 85-86 season in terms of league games.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't like missing games, mate. Didn't like missing games.
Nah.
It's not like, you know, these days they can't play 2 games. I haven't missed a game for 4 years. So
yeah,
it's a load of, I don't know if you can say this on your thing, but it's a load of bollocks when they say, it's a load of bollocks when they say they're tired because, you know, you can see some of players' stats and the consistency. To me, it's all about looking after yourself after you've played. And if you rest in between games, you know, during the end of that season, because we never played for 6 weeks, we had a glut of the moaning now about how many games they're playing. But you have a look at how many games we played at the end of that season. We kept on winning, and that's the difference. And it was on pitches that were like dust bowls, and in the winter it was like a bog. So, you know, someone asked Billy Bonds the question about would the players in his day and age, is West Ham 11 be able to play now? Of course they would. Yeah. It's the players now that would struggle to play in our day. I honestly believe that. And I said to Tony Gale before, I said, our side would beat the current side now, and we're all nearly 60.
Yeah.
Well, and we're all nearly 60 years of age. So,
you
know, that's, you know, that's not me being arrogant. That's the the generations of, it's a few years ago, but our side would beat this team now easily.
Well, that's the thing, as well as the skill, you just had the togetherness, and it's still now, isn't it? Even more, you know. Obviously, we still. I mean, when I interviewed TC, there was something like 17 club records that your 85-86 team still has today in terms of
individually, you know. If you're comparing the two teams, it's just quite unfair, really, because we were a very, very good side to come that close to winning, you know, the top honour. You know, went to the last game of the season. So, you know, player for player, you wouldn't swap many. And you wouldn't take any, I don't think. But it was the togetherness of the side.
Yes.
You know, the social, you know, going out and doing things together. That gave us a bond. And we bonded very quickly. Only the 2 signings that season John actually brought to the club was me and Frank. And, you know, what a successful signings they were.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's wrong now, Russ. To be honest, West Ham are in the position they are now because of the players that they brought in. They're just not good enough. They're just not good enough. And, you know, they've had time to prove themselves. And, you know, who's in charge of the pot of money to spend? To me, they've been very, very disappointing signings.
Yeah, but I think, and you say that togetherness, I think that's indicative of all footballers, like modern football. You don't get that together. I mean, obviously, when I was speaking to guys, yourselves and Frank and TC, and a little bit sort of later in terms of Bish and people like that, there's hundreds of stories they tell about your nights out and drinking and training and laughs, and you don't get that in football nowadays. You know, it's almost uber professional now, isn't it? It's like, it just seems there's not like, and I think that's what's lacking, particularly now. It would be interesting. God forbid it happened. It would have been interesting to see how footballers reacted to what's happening now if it was in your era, so to speak. Because I think it would be very different. I think you'd see.
I don't think we're wearing masks.
No,
listen,
you will.
They've been wearing gloves. They've been wearing gloves and tights and all that for years.
Yeah.
You know, I played for Everton Football Club. You couldn't wear tracksuit bottoms in the winter. Now, he said, you're not going to get cold. Listen, if you're cold, run around and then you won't get cold. So the influx of all the foreigners is brought some great things to this game, but as regards togetherness and all that, I think it's distance. There's not much team spirit in a lot of the teams at the moment, and that's down to the managers to try and get them all together, or the captain. And they're frightened to enjoy themselves now. But put it this way, I don't think this coronavirus would have been in our day. I think me and Frank would have still got out and had a bevy.
You'd have found some way, wouldn't it? Some way, some social distancing, like greenhouse thing or whatever. You'd have got it in. You'd have got it in. And that's the thing. I think that's the difference. It just seems that, I think with the football, I mean, you're right. I think nowadays you don't get loyalty in respect of where you get, I mean, when I interviewed Tony Gale, I mean, every year Tony Gale was at West Ham was a testimonial year for someone. And the fact that you don't, someone like Mark Noble is a really rare commodity in football, having stayed at a club for more than, I mean, managers don't even stay more than 2-3 seasons, let alone players. And that's why you don't get that togetherness, because you're not together. You obviously, the guys in your 85-86 season, 5 of them played in the FA Cup in 1980. And what's happened is, it doesn't happen anymore now. And I think that's why you get together.
It doesn't happen anymore, and it's a shame, really. But that's the side of football.
It's the money in it.
It's gone that way because players, with their agents, they're not loyal. And to be honest, it's a cutthroat game, and they just want to move on, make a few quid, stay 2 or 3 seasons. And like you're right, in 85, 80, I went to a testimonial do every year from Phil Parkes, Devonshire, Ray Stewart, Alvin Martin. I can name them all, but it was a great for the players, and they deserve that. Testimonial game, because 10 years at a club's a long time, and West Ham seems to have that, and that's how you do breed team spirit. When if you've been playing with each other for a few years, and you can get that team spirit.
Yeah, no, exactly. And as you said, there's new people. So it's like you and Frank came in, you just sort of slotted into the culture, so to speak. There was a culture established already there, because you had the veteran players already in there, so it's a lot easier to get up and running. It seems nowadays you get a whole raft of new players come through every season, it seems, and the culture changes of a team because the manager leaves, and that's endemic of football in general. And you're right, it's money, isn't it? It's money that's sort of ruined that sort of sense of. Of course, you see great players. We've seen some fantastic players over the last sort of, the Canios and the Payets. But I mean, Payet was only around for a season and a half and buggered off. But it's just natural.
A lot of them have used West Ham as a platform to. Wouldn't say to get to better clubs, but with Payet, what a player! But the way he treats the club and the fans is disgusting. And that man, he could have left the club as an icon, but because of his. If I don't know if he was getting advised or he was pushed or whatever, but I just couldn't understand him waiting to the end of the season. And the fans would have accepted that, and his fellow players. He just jumped ship, and sometimes these foreigners, and I can't say that because the only foreigners in our team were the Jocks years ago. But some of these foreigners are there just to take the money and try and get as much money as they can in the short space of time, and then move on. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It does make sense. But regardless of that obviously, your 4 years roughly at West Ham was an amazing period, because obviously you had the highs of 85, 86. Obviously, didn't work out so well towards the end of that period. But that 85-86 season it's an iconic season and a great season to get that start at the club, and then have that season. What was it like being in that team? It seemed to be like a machine, particularly when you're up and running. As you said, you were towards the end, you were just all these games and you were still winning. It must have been like, you must have felt not invincible, but you must have. Yeah, we did. To be honest, it's the only team I played in. And after the West Ham, I went to City, which was a good side, and Everton. Played with some great players, but it's the only team I played in, especially at home at Upton Park. It's not if we were going to win, but how many we were going to win by. So that might sound a bit cocky and that, but we'd be in the tunnel just before going out, and I'd look around and think, right, are we going to win by 3 or 4 today? Is Frank going to get 2? Is Tony going to get 2? I know I was going to create, and to have that confidence and to win every week, that was the stage that we'd got to with a lot of hard work and a very difficult season. And it was just amazing feeling to go out, especially at home, and think you were going to win. And it's, by how many? It was just, it only happened once in my career. And I can imagine it's like City, when they were on top, it was the similar thing with them, how many they were going to win by, and Liverpool. And that's how good a team that we had.
Yeah, that is incredible. I mean, you'd say it does say arrogant. When I was interviewing Mackie, he was basically saying him and Tony would have bets who would score the best goal that game.
Yeah, the best goal, not how many goals, the best goal.
The best goal, exactly. So it's not like we're going to score, but I'm going to score a better goal than you, which is absolutely incredible confidence. But as you said, it's like you were winning.
They never put me into that equation because I never scored many, but I was always making the goals.
He was always making the goals. We had Pikey on, and he said the story about the Man United. Was it Man United goal? The header.
I miss hit the corner. But what a header! Right in the top corner.
And him, but you and him sort of collaborating. Yeah, we do it in training. It's part of bollocks. It's like love it, absolutely love it. It's brilliant. Mark, so basically, as I said, the whole idea of the channel is we're talking about memories and sort of experiences, but also we do this 11. So we get fans to pick their 11, and unsurprisingly, you've appeared in quite a few fans' 11s, and it's based on sort of they have to be alive to have seen them play and things like that. So it's not like. So otherwise everyone would put like Bobby Moore and stuff. So obviously it's a generation thing. Yeah. So obviously we've had Macca and TC and Gay. Obviously Gailey picked himself as captain and manager and penalty taker, free kick taker, and physio as well. He was doing it all. Yeah. Bless him. So obviously it would be good to sort of get your handle. Now I could probably imagine your team if you was picking an 11, but based on all the stories that obviously I've heard, maybe we could do something a bit different. What do you think? Maybe around sort of, I don't know, the party animal 11. What do you think?
Oh, that would be some team. That would be some team. Is it just West Ham that you want?
Well, it's just ideally just West Ham. If there's anyone else you want to just whack in as a ringer, I'm more than happy to do that.
Definitely, Phil Parks could have a drink. The big man could drink. And,
we'll put the big man. We'll put the big man in.
Yeah, and what a goalkeeper! You know what? The team that I picked were all great footballers as well, in a way where they'd probably be in my best 11. Okay. But my West Ham best 11 is the 1986 side. Yeah. Exactly. It's Parksy, Ray Stewart, Alvin Gailey. I'm putting Dixie in at left back. Yeah. To play with Julian afterwards. And I think, I've always said this is a massive accolade for Julian, in a way where if he'd have been in our team that season, it's not as if we'd have won the league, but how many points would have won it by. Really. That one player would have made all the difference. Yeah. And that's not just because of his defensive qualities, but he would have scored a few goals. Yeah. Which he did. He always chipped in, didn't he? Yeah. And then I'd have gone with Devonshire, myself, both on the wings, Dicko, Pikey. Or I always get mixed up here. I've got to put Billy Bonds in there, so I might have to put Bonzo in with Alan Dickens, and then I've got Frank and Tony up front. Yeah, but exactly. The drinking, we could all have a drink. We all had our Christmas nights out, but the captain would have to be Frank. He'd have to be the captain because he had a membership to every club in London, and especially Stringfellows but. Our culture was the way it was. But we played hard and we trained hard, and we didn't drink before games. We were all professional enough. We drank at the right times. Yeah, no, exactly. And I know when you went to City, obviously Bish and Trev came over, and when I was interviewing Bish, Matt, when I was interviewing Alvin Martin, actually, he said when he talked to Bish, talk about his love of polos. Bish had apparently a pack of polos always in his pocket for training, because obviously the night before. But apparently it's extra strong mints rather than polos. You can imagine that with Bish, but it was good. I got he's a good lad, Bish, and obviously he went to West Ham and I went to City in the two for the one deal, and I think. I've always said this, and I've been very honest. I would never have left the club if it hadn't been for Macari taking over. Yes. He was never a West Ham manager. We didn't get on. he didn't know the West Ham way. I know it's always been said
Yeah.
through Sam, but for the great little player he was at Man United, the way Man United played and the way West Ham wanted to play, he was alien to that, and they just wanted to kick the ball long. And at the time we had Liam Brady in the team, myself, Devonshire. These players these were proper footballers, and we didn't accept it. And that's I'm sorry I left when I did, but I had to because I didn't think I thought he'd be at the club a bit longer than he was.
Yeah, no, it made sense. And as you said, I mean, West Ham did all right out of it, didn't we? 2 for 1. We got Trevor and Bish, and they went on to a great.
To be honest, Howard Kendall said, "I need a team full of Scousers," right? But people laugh like you. There were 9 points adrift at the bottom of the division, and this is how great a manager Kendall was.
Sure,
he never only just won things. He come back from Spain, and I was going to go to Spain to play for Toshack at Real Sociedad.
Oh wow! And
at the last minute, he rang me up and he said I needed a team full of Scousers. And I said, well, the deal is Bishop and Morley for Mark Ward. I said, well, Bishop's a Scouser. He's sending them that way. He said, that's why the bottom of the league, son. Right, and I've told Bish this. He said, he can't do what you can do. He said, I need Scousers that are going to do things. And, he kept them up, and it was a magnificent achievement by him. And to me, that's the sign of a great manager. Not a manager who gets a team full of superstars and, you know what I mean? A manager that takes over a team that's just been beaten 8-0 and, organises them. And that's what we need now at West Ham.
Yeah. And I think personally, I think we have the right guy for the job. I just think and there's an infrastructure he's putting in now. People like Kevin Nolan, good scout, good scout lad, Kevin Nolan, who understands West Ham. There's a lot more of the old boys are now being put into the sort of the youth academy. So obviously Keno's back, and obviously you've got Potsy's in, and Colton Cole and Conch and Zavon High. So it does seem, I think it's just, as you said, it's just got to get a tune out of the players. That's what it seemed yesterday. Wasn't?
Well, it's very organised.
Yeah,
very organised, and it, will get them very, very fit. But if your personnel is only good as his dressing room, and I don't think there's a quality there. And I really am afraid. I hope they do stay up, obviously, but it's going to be a fight, and you need players that will fight. Yeah,
and I think, I mean, obviously, we've got Tottenham and Chelsea coming up, and I think there's, we know West Ham, Mark, West Ham, and Tottenham, doesn't matter if they're home or away, West Ham turn up. And I hope they do. But it always does. It always, and also, being away, being at White Hart Lane, empty. I mean, it is a strange. I mean, yesterday was strange. It was a strange atmosphere. And I've done the under-23 games there when there's like 200 fans, but there was no fans, and it is strange. And I think you're right. It is about the whole thing's about mentality. I think it's about togetherness, but about mentality. And as you said, it's how players respond to it. Some players feed off the crowd, don't they? And it's like you can feel when, and I think some players don't. And sometimes,
Upton Park was a fantastic arena to play football in, an iconic place, to be honest. And I think people didn't realise how much players love playing there.
Sure. And
the fans love being there because the closeness to the players and everything else. And I always remember Alvin Martin, the captain, saying, "Mark, when you're playing on that side, it's called a chicken run." I said, "The chicken run?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "They'll either make you or break you."
Yeah.
He said, "And you've got to give 100%." He said, "Because they broke some players' hearts." He said, they will suss players out straight away. He said, "And you'll hear everything they say." And fortunately, I wasn't a player that could just float around. I had to give me 100%, and that was the type of player I was. And they were fantastic with me. And so we're talking, you're inches away from the fans, and now there's no one there, and it must be difficult for the players. But it's the same for both teams, and it's the ones who are strong mentally, and go out there and carry the orders out by the manager, and it's just a fight now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, speaking of being on the chicken run, back at Upton Park days, I imagine you ended up getting to know quite a lot of the fans as long because they're season ticket holders, and you know for those 4 years, you probably all right, Bob. You know, you probably saw them quite a lot, and they gave you as you said, they give you as good as you get, don't they? And obviously the type of character you are, quite a fiery winger. You know, the chicken
Yeah.
run always responded well to you. You know, and it must be.
Oh, it was fantastic. I used to take the corners on one side, and you know the run up to the ball is you'd only have like one pace back, and then you'd have to practice at kicking the ball, you know, into the areas that we wanted to. So, but that's how tight the ground was, and that gave it the atmosphere. And you know, it'd be fantastic now. West Ham, we're still back there, you know, hoping to survive. But you know, like you said, the lads have just got to take it on the chin and just get out there and do what's best for the club.
Yeah, it is. You're right. You're right, and it's. I mean, I think you're going to get some weird results coming up in the first few weeks, and I actually think throughout the rest of the season, because I just think no one knows how players are going to react to sort of the emptiness, and it's just strange. The whole thing's strange, you know. Even from our side, from like a product, you know, I'm sitting there and we're putting videos up, and I'm like, who the fuck's going to watch this? Why put this video up? Who the fuck's going to watch it? You know, so it's like it's really weird to try and get your head around it. But as you said, it's, you know, as I said, I reckon your guys would have had a good old go at it. You know, you'd make sure you'd have exploited social distancing to the millimetre to make sure you could get a good drink. And what were your Christmas parties like? It must have been awesome. As you said, Frank had memberships everywhere. They must have been legendary.
Well, yeah, it was always down the Phoenix Apollo in Stratford, and the lads there, Gilly and Panny, they'd look after us. And even in them days, you wanted to go places where you felt comfortable and looked after. You know, I'm glad there was no phones around, no cameras on when we were out and about, me and Frank. So. You know, we behaved ourselves in a way, but drinking was a part of the culture as long as it didn't stop you playing. And you know, that season, you couldn't have asked for any more from the players. You know, we just run out of games, and you know, I think we beat Chelsea 4-0 away. It was then around about the February time, and you know, it was Liverpool, Everton, and United at the top with us. And coming away from that game, I thought, what a performance. Yeah. It was unbelievable. It was like Chelsea were a good side as well, and we just played them off the ground on a muddy pitch. I remember Devitt won from 30 yards, and then there was a great goal. George Paris linked up in midfield, went on a run and totally scored. Then Frank got a couple, I think. But I think that the next day in the press, it was like, it's the first time that the whole country thought, these have got half a chance now. These are a good team. Because we played Liverpool and Everton, beat them both. Yeah. So, you know, that was the first time, really. John never spoke about the championship. No. He just said, just carried on. He was a fantastic manager, great tactician, and we only had a small squad. You know, we were lucky not to have many injuries. But, you know, Bonzo would have been crucial as well. I think if Billy had been fit, would have won the league. Because he was out that season. He'd come back the season after, but if it had been definitely fit, that season would have won it. And it was just short of one or two players, and it was. I'm just proud to be involved in it.
Yeah.
Proud. Oh God. So proud to be involved. Do you edit this, do you?
Yeah.
I'm just proud to be involved in one of the greatest sides, if not the best team that West Ham have ever had.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And
listen, I argue with some of the players from the 80 team. I said, listen, you can't even come to the table and say that your side were better than us. You were a second division team. You won the cup, right? You won the cup. Luckily, won the cup. It was a great achievement. But you didn't do what we did week in, week out against one of the best sides ever in Europe. Liverpool Football Club pushed them all away. So don't let anyone tell you any different.
Oh, Mark, you do make me laugh. No, you're right, and I think it is. You're right. I mean, that was a great achievement, as you said. But you're right. Second division team. Yeah, it's a half a dozen game. You know, I don't know how many to win to get to the FA Cup final. That was a great achievement. But you said it went across the whole season for you guys, and as you said, it was so near so far. And you know, unfortunately,
would it beat that 80 team about 4-0?
Well, Joey's half of them played in the 85-86 team as well. Yeah. So
5 of them, 6 of them, yeah.
Exactly. So what's going to happen? But oh, brilliant. Yeah. You know, I mean, we touched on the, as I said, we're touching the drinking side, and I think that's what the fans like to hear, because it's the stories. It's like, everyone can go onto YouTube and look at 85, 86 highlights and see the games, but it's what goes underneath, which everyone loves to do. You said you and Frank were quite sort of the Darcy twosome, so to speak, but that whole dressing room, it just seems everyone. You mean you Gailey, you had all like it must have been a riot in that dressing room, particularly trading.
Yeah, the banter in the dressing room, I missed that.
Yeah.
I work now with the lads at Capital Water, and we have a good banter. When you've been in a dressing room for years, you learn to be good at it.
Yeah.
So you've got to give and take. I can imagine now if Gailey went in the dressing room now and started ripping a stripe off some of the players, they wouldn't know how to take him. I was like that. Yeah. And but what a funny man. Reggie's name was after Reggie Cray, and I thought, he must be dead hard. But it wasn't. He was that brutal with his tongue.
Yeah.
And he just take the piss out of everybody in a nice sort of way. Not a very personal way. But that's what the football dressing room's all about. It can be a ruthless place, and you've got to learn to survive and learn to give and take. And but our team spirit was unbelievable, and that's what took us right the way through. And we always look back, and it was just unfortunate that we just ran out of games.
Yeah, exactly. But it must be, for you, obviously. I don't usually. Obviously, you came from Oldham, and you come straight in, and to a reasonably established team. What's it like? The first training session you walk in, because obviously it's only really you and Frank coming as new players. Do you have to prove yourself? Do you have to get in for a challenge? It's like how do you fit in? Do you know what I mean?
I always remember it because it's the first time ever in my life that I thought I was out of my depth.
Really?
And I signed, the next day I trained, and we was in the gym, and I didn't get a kick of the ball. I was running around, and it was that quick, the pace. I was looking at two centre halves who had the skill of a centre midfield player, Alvin and Gailey. I mean, they were bringing the ball down. I was used to playing with centre halves who headed the ball out the ground. And that was the difference in the second division. Yeah. Big, hard defenders, the lower you go down, the more basic they are. I've come to a club where these players were unbelievable. Devonshire had it stuck to his foot. And I thought to myself, God, I'm going to struggle here. And John played against Birmingham on the Saturday, my debut, and I didn't really have a good game, and we got beat. And I thought, he's not going to play me on the Tuesday, QPR. We're at home, Upton Park on the Tuesday. Yeah. And he said, listen, son, get out there and show them what you're all about. And I had a great game, and I think it crossed the ball twice. Dicko scored one, and we scored another one, and I never looked back after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Yeah, and I just loved. I'd never played at Upton Park until that evening, and when I stepped out onto the pitch, just had this sort of atmosphere and like smell, and it was just like the fans. It was just like, and I miss it to this day. And it's just like I'm so lucky man to have experienced that.
Yeah. And to be honest, Mark, we were lucky to have you, because it was an integral part to that 65, not that old, 85, 86 season. And obviously, it was you and Frank coming in, and obviously Paul Gollard got injured, and then Frank got pushed up front, and the two of them clicked, and you and Dev, it just worked, didn't it? It just clicked. It just showed the magic of John Lyall in terms of, as I said, he brought Frank in as a number 10, really, and which a position which, nowadays is pretty standard, but there was like, ahead of his time. It's like, you see all these modern, everyone talks about, false forward. It's all bullshit. It was all just repackaging.
Look at the way we played. We played in the back. We were, you look at all our attacks. Alvin and Gailey were that comfortable on the ball. They never hoofed it, because they couldn't hoof it to Tony and Frank, because they weren't big enough to fight for the ball. Yeah. Me and Dev. So what we done, we played counter-attacking football a lot of the time. We sucked the sides onto us, because Alvin and Gailey were quite slow as centre-halves. So we defended deep. But when we got the ball, we never gave it away. And we, incised quick passes. And we had pace in the side. Frank and Tony very quick. I was very quick. Devonshire. So you got four really quick forwards there. And, it all started from the back. And Parks, he never really kicked it. He just threw it out.
Yeah.
And, John had it boxed off, and we just got better and better as the season got got longer, and we just ran out of time.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, like the way obviously Parksy playing it from the back, they say, obviously nowadays it's a prerogative of a goalkeeper to be that sort of sweeper keeper. Parksy was doing it back at 85. You would do it 30 years ago. You know what I mean? It's like,
if he broke down on the opposite side, Phil would get it, and I'd come really deep for the ball, and he'd just throw it out to me, and I was getting the ball in really deep positions because Ray was a great defender, but he wasn't comfortable overlapping.
Yeah.
And it was the same on the other side with George or Steve Walford, because you just give Dev the ball and you didn't need anyone to overlap. He was that good. Devonshire was the best player I played with. He was fantastic. Yeah. And I just think if Julian had been playing behind him, what a fantastic duo there, because he'd have joined in with Devonshire.
Yeah.
And maybe scored a few goals. And but John, Alvin always says that, the two signers that season, myself and Frank, the one was from Glasgow, one was from Liverpool. Yeah. They both didn't give a fuck about anybody, which we didn't. We were quick and aggressive, and we both had big hearts. And that's what we brought to the team that season: a bit of aggression and a bit of pace and power, which they were lacking, really.
Yeah. No, definitely. Mark, look, I know you just come back from work. Well, I don't want you to take any of your time, to be honest, because I don't want you to get a cup of tea.
You've been after me for ages, haven't you?
I've been after you for ages. And I don't want to take the mick anymore, because I know you've not just me, but honestly, people message me. I go, right,
Well, all the West Ham fans, you've got to keep the faith.
Yeah.
It'd be a tragedy if we do get relegated, but we've got to give David Moyes, the staff, and all the players the support. I know we can't go out there, but especially on social media, because players will look at things after yesterday. That's why I'm glad it wasn't around in our day, because you can imagine 85, 86.
Yeah.
Oh, the adulation would have been unbelievable. But I can see, when players read things and managers and things, it's not very nice. And, they've got to stick behind him, and because we're all in this together.
Exactly. Do you know what, man of my own words, you really are. Dust ourselves off, go again. And we've done it for how many years, so we're used to it. Dust ourselves off and carry on. And as you said,
the West Ham way.
It's the West Ham way. But
and obviously, they beat Tottenham.
Do you know what? I if it doesn't, I'll be bloody surprised, because it's just like it is Spurs, and Mark will whip them up, and hopefully, hopefully Bon will be back and then put Deck back into midfield. I think we missed that yesterday. There was a lot of chopping and changing, and hopefully him back in, it will make a big difference. Because I think you've got a bit more him and Mark together. That's the duo that work. I think that's the duo we need, and hopefully some more. A few people back, Snoddy, and people like that as well. That's what we need now.
Result against Tottenham, it could set. We need two victories, don't we? 2 or 3, and then we'll be safe.
And again, it's all about rhythm. And now we've got game after game after game. If you get in a good pattern, it's like Christmas, isn't it? You get a good Boxing Day, the 28th, the 1st. It just keeps momentum, and that's what you need. Particularly when you haven't got the crowd to give you momentum, you need to build that yourself, really. So it is what it is. But thank you, Mark, and obviously thank you to everyone for watching. I told you we'd get Mark. We've got Mark finally. I've pestered him. Absolutely pestered him. But obviously, thank you so much, Mark, and thank you, everyone. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, everybody, take care from me and Mark. Stay safe, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.